Hi there, I'm Jeannie Fuller, and I'm back with the second mistake that you may be making that you don't even know you're making. And that's explaining what you do. You see, all the people come to you and they ask you, what do you do? And our mind sort of thinks like, oh my gosh, I've got to explain what I do so that they understand it. And when they understand it, they'll say, oh, that's nice, and change the subject and talk about the weather. You see, it just really isn't the right question. So as you watch the slides, you'll get more of an idea of how you can say something that actually intrigues them. So take a look. Here's the second business development mistake that you may not know you're making. And that's explaining what you do. Again, this is counterintuitive because people ask you, what do you do? But you don't have to explain. When you explain it, you sound like everyone else. They just sort of tune you out. Your job is to spark an interest and not explain what you do. People arrive preoccupied. Their brain is chock full of all the stuff going on in their world. And you have to break through that preoccupation. Well, that's a good question. How do you get through? It's all about what's important to the other person. Yes, coach? What would interest them? So what do you think it might be? Absolutely. An intriguing statement about the value. And you notice when you do that, the brain just clears up. You see, it's not the features and benefits. It's about focusing on the value you deliver to your clients. That's what interests people. That's what gets their attention, and that's what makes you stand out from the crowd. Intrigue them. Let's look at intriguing them. One way you might do it is to say something totally unexpected. I have a client who likes to, when someone says, what do you do? And he said, well, it's quite interesting. You know, I've built a business totally around a question an existing client asked me many years ago. And he says that, what do they have to say? What was the question? It really works. Another one is a paradox. I have another client who likes to tell about when a client called him just, so angry and yelling in the phone. It just made his day because he got to explain something the client didn't understand and how it all worked. But when you start off with a statement like this, a paradox, they've got to ask you something. They lean forward. Now they're listening. Works like a charm. Another one is, what results have you achieved for a client? Now, don't get into telling them the whole story, but this is one I use a lot. Using skills learned in referrals for profit, a banker increased his new loan production by 63%. They usually go, wow, well, what do you teach in referrals for profit? Now they're listening to what our e-learning series, Referrals for Profit, is all about. Because I'm quoting something tangible, something quantifiable, a banker increasing new loan production by 63%. So be sure that whatever you're saying in sparking interest is very meaningful. It's got to be extremely short. It's got to be about a single client. People relate with other people. They don't relate to clients in general. It is a teaser. When you explain it all, they say, oh, and then they change the subject and talk about the traffic or the weather. Does not work for you. No explanation. And then pause and wait for their response. Intrigue is what it's all about. So that somebody's going, wow, how do you do that? Or maybe it's, wow, could you do that for my friend? Could you do that for me? So don't explain, intrigue them. Makes a huge difference. And that's part of Referrals for Profit, our 8-week learning series. It's dynamite. We will go into more of intrigue when you sign up for Referrals for Profit. It is awesome. So do you see how intriguing them works? They arrive with that, that brain just chock full of all of their stuff. But when you say something that they're just quite not used to hearing, that's intriguing, they may lean forward, their ears are open, and they're hearing you, as opposed to when they say, what do you do? And you begin explaining or giving the laundry list of all the things your firm does. That doesn't work. Intrigue them so that you can set an appointment. Intrigue them so they want to share your information with their friend or their associate, their contacts. And we go into it even more deeply in Referrals for Profit, our 8-week e-learning course that is just right on top of it, gives you a whole system to create a continuing inflow of referrals for profit.